Hello, welcome back to the Waffle Press movie retrospectives. We're here to talk about the fifth entry in the Halloween franchise. Uh, Only the fourth entry to include Michael
Numbers
Myers.
are starting to get weird already.
Oh yeah,
Um,
and I would go as far to say that this is the worst in the series up to this point. Maybe to date, because it's pretty boring,
um,
and I want to give a formal apology really quick to Halloween 2 and Halloween 4
mhm,
because those do absolutely have little touches and moments and sequences that are kind of fun. And Halloween 4 does have an amazing ending,
mhm.
which is not capitalized on in this movie.
No, that's the first mistake. Yeah, I'd like to maybe give a shout out to Halloween 4, which I think I was a little like dragging my feet on. Because honestly, the big thing for me, at least watching it, it felt like Halloween 4 was made with like almost no money. And this movie had slightly more money, and it's amazing how much better Halloween 4 is with less money. And I think I was responding more to the cheap feel of Halloween 4 than I was to actual story and actual, characters. Which honestly, there's actually good character moments in Halloween 4, and they are completely absent from Halloween 5. Uh,
Oh, you know what? There is like one thing that I like, but we'll get to it because it's very minimal, and it's not a big point in the movie. But some point of references for the quality in this entry. I'm pretty sure I cut this from the episode when we were talking about it last time. But I talked to you about the Puppet Master series on and off air a couple times about how I'm a
mhm.
fan of that franchise and how the filmmaking itself, like the direction, the staging, the energy behind it, the best versions of those movies don't feel cheap. The filmmaking is never feels cheap. The budget is obviously, but Halloween 5 reminds me a lot of the
Mhm.
really bad Puppet Master movies, where there's just no energy behind it. They started making a lot of money because it's a straight to video franchise, and for those things to ever make money in the first place, it's hard to do. And they just kind of kept chugging along, and there's nothing to them apart from brand name recognition. That's Halloween 5.
And can we just like, what the fuck? Who is this loyal Puppet Master fan base?
I have no
Like, like
idea.
who is sticking to those? That's what's weird to me.
it's I don't know. I'm
The,
glad they kept them through because I like some of those quite a bit. But like, oh my
the only
god,
one that's
like
stranger is like the fact that there's like nine Children of the Corn movies.
what?
Yeah, there's like a ton of Children of the Corn movies. Um, I know there's at least upwards of six because they did Children of the Corn 666.
Oh well, that's kind of clever. But like, also, what the fuck?
Yeah, none of them are good. Like, there's not a single good Children of the Corn film. Like, even the first one is not like a good movie. So I don't know where that. I can't. Is there a stranger like fan base? Maybe the Amityville films, because all of those are bad too.
Is there a series of Amityville horror
Yeah,
movies?
there's like I would say there's like six Amityville
What?
films.
I'm finding out so much today.
There's the original. There's Amityville Part Two. I think it's Part Two. They're always fucking Part Two. Amityville 3D. One of them is called uh, Amityville. It's about time because it's a fucking. I think it's a time travel film.
Oh God.
um, then there's like the Amityville Dollhouse. And I
Uh,
think I'm missing one. And then there's the remake of Amityville. And those movies are terrible because nothing happens in any of them. Because it's supposed to be a true story, right? So you can't ever kill anyone. So like no one dies. Like at most, like people just get really annoyed, and then the movies end, and then you get the spin-off films, which are the Conjuring franchise.
which you're a very big fan of.
Oh yeah, I'm glad when you take complete frauds and promote them like they're actual people with, skills. That's just disgusting to me.
That was actually a talking point I had in the Halloween panel I had at LA Comic Con. So check that out. Like how much can you really get into that? Like you should recognize that stuff has basically all been like defrauded.
Leave this in. I don't give a fuck.
Okay.
The funniest thing is they brought Ed and Lorraine Warren to the Amityville house. And the people that wrote the Amityville story saying it was true, the couple that stayed there never admitted it was fake, but the guy who co-wrote it with them said, "Yeah, we made it up over a bottle of wine." So, but they brought Ed and Lorraine Warren to give some like validity to all their stuff, and Ed and Lorraine Warren were like, "Oh, it's all true. We saw so much shit. All this crazy shit happen." And then another psychic was brought in. Another, not a psychic, a paranormal investigator, and he came in and said the Amityville house isn't haunted. And this is a guy who believes in like crop circles and Mothman. And he came in and he's like, I can't. He's like it's hysterical. He's like, morally, I can't support this because I truly believe in the paranormal. And it's just, this is the Warrens are insult to my investigations.
Oh, well, hey, Mothman is real, and he hopes you're having a great day.
Mothman's in all of us.
That's like my favorite Twitter account right now. Mothman's real, and he loves you. Well, that's Halloween 5.
Yeah, good night, everyone.
Help me now. We both know he's alive. But you know where he is.
Halloween 5. This time, they're ready. This time, he's unmasked. And this time, he's back with a vengeance. Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers.
Well, because Halloween 4 was such a hit, and they rushed this into production. This was released exactly 1 year after Halloween 4, which was a mistake.
Yeah.
Because they were constantly rewriting the film while they were filming it, which is totally noticeable.
Like a lot of big budget movies nowadays kind of get made like that. Some of them actually pull it off, but it's not like a blueprint to success, you know? When it works, it's because you got a lot of people that are working together. They believe in the property and the project. Everything has to be firing on all cylinders. Jean Favreau infamously basically did Iron Man on the fly along with the creative team. Everyone made it work. They did that for Iron Man 2, and it's less successful. I don't think it's like the worst one of the bunch, like by far.
Iron Man 2 has just got way too much going on in it.
Yeah, it's a very messy movie, but people pretty much agree that it's not great. It's not up to
It's
par.
not.
It's hard to pull off a production like that. Like it's just like imagine if Iron Man 2 came out a year after Iron Man.
Yeah.
It's close. It's only 2 years after.
And it's also, your goal shouldn't be to make a movie like this. You shouldn't be making it this quickly. Like, logically, if we live in a world where capitalism has been defeated and you go to make a movie, you go, let's make sure the script is good, and then we'll start filming. And then we start planning on how we film it, then we film it, and then we edit it. It's really, if you need pre-production. Pre-production is probably the most important stage to a movie. The longer the pre-production, the more likely the film is going to work, unless you're the Hobbit films.
Oh well, that's a different sort of pre-production. We're just trying to get it made by this point. Like the only one they were going to sign off on was Peter Jackson.
That's literally, we spent 3 years in pre-production and then threw all of it out.
Yeah.
And that didn't change the release dates. So that's where.
Something I will credit positively up to this point, because we don't know what the final production is going to look like. James Cameron Avatar series. He took his time to make sure every little ounce of story was checked out by him, co-written by him. Like he's really led the pre-production charge for basically a decade by this point. And it could be a monumental disaster, but you cannot say that he is not someone who's taken it seriously.
Yeah, and like, just here's the thing. Like, I don't give a fuck about Avatar. I own it, and I can't ever bring myself to sit down to rewatch it. Like it's just not a good movie, but I am so excited for those sequels. Just because it's like, what is it gonna be? Like, even if it's like, it could be the blandest sequel ever, and it would still be interesting.
Just because like it's James Cameron and he's like a fucking
Yeah,
maniac.
it's like I said, don't bet against James Cameron. But we'll see. I mean, you never know. I don't know what's gonna happen there.
You know, it'd be like a bummer if they were like, "Oh my god, this is on par with like Titanic and Terminator and Aliens," and then no one goes to watch it. So it's like the reverse
That's what
effect of
I'm afraid is
Avatar.
gonna happen. Like he's like totally reinvented. Like it's a deconstruction of the original film, with also like a meta narrative that the original film had. It's like commentating on how culture's changed in the decade since its original release. And it's like so good, and then like no one sees it because no one gives a fuck anymore.
Aw.
Uh,
But I mean, hey, you slap James Cameron on it, and I think more people than not will somehow wind up in the theater for it and be like, "How'd I
yeah,
get here?"
it'll be one
But
of those
nah,
things. I mean,
whatever.
if people turned out for Venom, I clearly don't know what people are gonna pay to see.
Yeah.
Like no one went to see The House with the Clock in its Walls. It was just me.
And
Yeah,
me, I liked it.
yeah, I liked it too. Like no, I'm not gonna say it's like the best thing ever, but um, I enjoyed it. And I'm like that to me when that was announced, even though like it's nothing special, I'm like that should be a movie everyone that kind of goes out to see.
More kid friendly horror.
Yeah,
I
kid
miss
friendly
that.
like like I love fantasy adventures with kids and shit, and it was just like ooh, like I don't get it. Like and Venom just looked like the most generic thing ever, and I guess you can make a lot of great fan art based on it, but
Oh, oh boy. And they know their
yeah,
audience. Like their Twitter account is just like leaning directly into that. Like two
yeah.
tongues up and other
Hey,
implications.
no,
But
whatever.
hey.
That's the best thing I can think of for that movie.
Yeah.
I always, honestly, I think I've maybe said this on my show. I think fan art is usually the best evidence of cultural staying power.
Yeah.
But,
And somehow Venom's sticking
yeah,
around. Expect at
it
least two
hit a
more of
nerve. Well, I
those.
mean, Venom in general has always been like that because I don't get that character.
Because he fucking sucks. That's why.
It's like he's just black. He's just a black suit. Uh,
Yeah, and Tom Hardy keeps playing like generic '90s villains like Bane.
Yeah,
There's nothing to him in the comics, but he made him like interesting in his physical performance. Venom sucks, but it's fun to watch Tom Hardy do a line of cocaine. Like he doesn't do it in the movie, but like there's no way he didn't do cocaine at some point on set.
it's
So,
yeah, good for you, Tom Hardy.
no.
Um, well,
All right,
anyway,
so
Halloween 5.
okay, so do you are familiar with the what was it, Mustafa Akkad?
Mustafa Akkad. Um,
Do you know what he said in regards to making Halloween 5? Jamie, to making Jamie the killer after
I don't
killing her
know. I don't
foster
know what he
mother.
said actually.
Okay, because everyone presumed that was the plan. That's the natural progression of the story. And he said basically, no one wants to see anybody but Michael Myers in this franchise. They want to see Michael Myers be the killer again. So he has to be the killer. So we'll just make her like another victim again. And everyone was like, huh? Are you sure? And he's
Well,
like, yeah, I don't know. We can bring him back, but
I'll be honest. I don't know what you do with a sequel to this, to Halloween 4. Like that's a great ending, and I don't know where you go with it. Um, like because honestly, you really can't just make her the killer. Like that would just be a little weird. But
it would be out there.
um, and like I just don't see if there's enough. It's to me that's the weird thing with. Oh God, I keep getting off topic today. I'm sorry, but like Unbreakable, the ending to Unbreakable, like the whole series is there. Like you don't need more with that ending, you know?
Hmm.
The way that I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't seen it because it's although I guess now that they know there's a sequel on the way, everyone knows how that fucking movie ends. But like I'm just saying, like the whole what is going to happen in the future of these two characters is all there in that moment without us seeing it. Like it's all implied. Or it's kind of like the Joker at the end of The Dark Knight where he says, we're destined to do this forever, even though that's not what happens in the film series.
Oh.
But that is very much what happens, in kind of like the whole idea of Batman. Like everyone knows Batman versus Joker. and that they've always been villains. I mean, always been like against each other. Man, I'm fucking
Antagonist
yeah.
is the
I
right
can't
word.
put my fucking words together today.
No, no, no. This movie took a toll on everyone.
But
So
I'm just saying, like, you don't need more. And so it's weird to me that like now we're getting a sequel to Unbreakable, where like to me it's one of those like unless it's a perfect movie, I really don't want it. And again, unless Halloween 5 was going to be a perfect movie, I wouldn't want a Halloween 5. And there was no one had any intention of making a perfect movie. They wanted to make the same movie again. And they just kind of had to pick up the pieces of the last one, and they didn't know what to do with any of them.
yeah, both Donald Pleasance and Danielle Harris would also disagree with the direction this movie took because they both wanted her to become like or her devil. They wanted to explore her devolution into becoming someone like Michael Myers. That's the route they wanted to go. How they would have done that, I don't know. But apparently, the first draft was written by someone named Shem Bitterman, and it was that direction. And after Mustafa Cod was like, no, 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 we can't do that.
Are
Michael
you
Myers has to
sure
be
it
the
ever got
focus.
further than a first draft?
No, no,
I
no.
mean, because the thing is, like seriously, 1 year after Halloween 4, this was released. Like, so you're not even talking like, and so they made this movie in less than a year.
Yeah, there was no like proof that this would have ever been a good movie, but it could have been like an interesting failure, as we will see across a few of these other sequels that we're going to talk about.
Oh yeah,
Holy fuck!
but it's to me, it's just this movie had no chance when they decided they had to do it within a year. That's the Achilles heel of this film. Because it's not it's not Friday the 13th. It's not a Nightmare on Elm Street. Even Nightmare on Elm Street kind of needs more than a lot of those films ever use. Like especially the later ones,
Yeah,
where at least like the kills are always cool, but uh, the stories just aren't there. Um, and this, like, you really needed to rethink what to do with this franchise, and they already have cold feet of taking it in weird directions because Halloween 3 underperformed and was not received well when it had no Michael Myers. So that's why Akkad was probably like, I don't want to do it without Myers.
yeah. It's very unfortunate that was the producer's line of thought, because originally, how we talked about like in the Halloween 4 episode, like Michael Myers basically needs to be flesh and blood. People need to feel his presence as a human being, while also being an unstoppable killing machine for the franchise. And you can't reconcile those two ideas, and it just comes across as like funky and odd. And here he's just like, well, we can't do it without Michael Myers. But this is the time people would have been game for that finally.
You still hear producers today saying the same weird contradiction where Michael Myers is an unstoppable force, but he's also human.
Yeah.
I keep hearing that from like all the people involved in the recent Halloween one, and I'm like, I feel like that's just marketing speak because it's like people when they go like, I'm scared of Michael Myers because he's a real person, and then he's never been a real person. I
Yeah.
mean,
And then even after, but like the way people talk about Michael Myers is that he's like flesh and blood, and that was what makes him scary by that point. Because like the end of Halloween, he's everywhere by that point. Like he's in all an encompassing evil. Like every little shadow in these movies is Michael Myers basically. Like he's everywhere. So that idea is just ridiculous to me.
and then you have the problem with audiences. I mean, they can't accept the idea that he exists in like this weird because really the truth is Michael Myers exists as both human and non-human simultaneously, you know? And
Yeah, well, like what do you mean by that? And then it's like, it doesn't matter.
it's like it doesn't matter, but like there are people in this world that can't accept that, and they are the people that sometimes go to these movies and go like that was dumb, and or like to go, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've seen the new one in theaters a few times. And I one of the audiences with those like people were walking out of the theater and they were like, "Man, I just hate movies where people make dumb decisions." And I'm like, "Did you watch the fucking movie?" Like, I don't know what I guess what I'm saying is I don't know what the smart play is in terms of making both a good movie and a profitable movie. Maybe there's no way to do that. Maybe it's like the Batman v Superman problem, where it can't be like it can't have any artistic weight to it and be a franchise starter at the same time. And those two ideas destroy themselves trying to coexist.
Yeah, and then I end up like liking it in the long run, but also being like, yeah, that was a bad idea.
Oh, it's a
Like
mess.
whoever greenlit that,
It's a
like, oh my
mess.
god. Did you think Donald Pleasance was like tired by this point?
He looks a little tired, but this is honestly, I think that he's the saving grace of this movie. Because this is the movie where he goes full tilt crazy. Like, he has been creating two, he's running around yelling at people, pulling his gun out, taking people hostage. Uh, in four ends with him screaming at a young girl and pointing a gun at her.
Which is the greatest thing ever.
And this ends with him like completely out of his mind. Like he is never even like close to reality in this film. But I want to save that because that's the climax of this.
Yeah, yeah.
We should start at the very beginning, which is a very good place to start. You know what annoyed me right off the bat? The opening credits. It just kind of starts, goes like Halloween 5, and you're hearing like a knife stab into a pumpkin or something. It's trying to be like a very artsy opening, and then that stabbing slowly transitions into the Halloween theme, and then we get a recap of the ending of Halloween 4, and it was just awkward.
I kind of like the idea of the stabbing noise transitioning into the Halloween theme, but the way it's done is like awful.
I kind of do, but like, this is also a fault of the fact that we've just seen the new Halloween at the time
Oh
of
yeah.
recording this, and that they brought Carpenter back, and he adds a lot of great shit to that score. Maybe it's just the composers either weren't allowed or weren't daring enough to take the score in different directions, so it just ends up being that do 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 do, and there's nothing more to it, and it doesn't work in all the scenes. Like at the end, they show the ending of Halloween 4 where Michael Myers is shotgunned to death and then falls down a mine shaft and they blow him up. That the whole time there was another way out and he got out and fell into a river. And they awkwardly start playing the theme as he just floats like a lazy guy down the river.
I hated that.
That was like such
I
an
hated
awkward
that.
use of that music with that image.
He's like by this point there's no humanity. Like there's no interesting perspective you could approach with that character on how maybe they were human at some point, and he's just like this demon basically, and you're watching him kind of just like
Yeah.
float down the river.
Woo!
Like what the
Like,
fuck
let's
is
have fun
that?
at water
Like how
safari.
far we've fallen.
It's going the lazy river. But we should note that I should mention the the entire reopening of this movie was reshot. Uh,
Oh,
there originally he was going to float down the river and run into he runs into a homeless man or something. He almost looks like a river man, like
yeah. It's like a hermit or
like
something,
a
but
Mark
like
Twain like guy who lives along the river. He's going to help Huck Finn out. He has like a bird. It's so stupid. But in the original version, Michael Myers gets found by another, like a younger guy, and who's also like a hermit. But it's like a younger hillbilly looking type guy who like takes off the mask and brings Michael Myers back to his hut, and he performs some sort of ritual and is the one who puts this tattoo, this rune um, symbol on Michael Myers' wrist. This guy does that. Um, and I guess it was supposed to be like this is how Michael Myers is revived. Like he dies at the end, and then he is brought back to life in the original cut through magic, like literal magic brings him back.
Jesus
And
Christ.
then a year later, he gets up and kills the guy, and then goes out. This time, he ends up with this hermit who takes him in, and then presumably just lets him lay around for a full year. That was confusing. Did you pick up on that?
Yeah,
Like,
like what was he doing in that time?
yeah, what did he eat? Like, what did he drink water? Like, also, if you like, I know it's wrong to bring like real world logic in with Michael Myers, but like your muscles would atrophy, man. Like, you can't do that. And it's just stupid to think that this guy like never reached out to someone or like didn't like start doing like a weekend at Bernie's type thing with like what he thinks is a corpse. Like there's a whole year this guy spent with a catatonic Michael Myers and it's never explained. Um, because they cut that original scene for reasons I don't know why. Maybe they wanted to remove the overtly magic stuff.
No.
But for some reason they changed it.
Yeah, and it's not like they shied away from like, oh no, that's a lie. Never mind. They do shy away
Yeah,
from
they
that
just
when
throw it
they try.
in.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that. Um, and we cut to now Jamie Lloyd, the little girl who killed her stepmother at the end. She's now in a clinic and she keeps having nightmares of the murder she committed. We eventually find out she has some sort of psychic connection with Michael Myers. And when Michael Myers first wakes up on the eve of Halloween a year later and puts the mask on and kills the homeless dude, Jamie has a seizure. And doctors, like, they rush her in and they almost give her a trach. Um, and then out of nowhere, shambling into this film, is Dr. Loomis. And he's like, no, don't, she'll come out of it. And like the girl's like violently like thrashing. Like she's on the verge of swallowing her own tongue. And she's like, no, she'll be fine. And did you catch what the doctor said? He said, I see you still want this girl dead. Which means that after that murder and after the girl was taken to this clinic, he petitioned to have this girl executed. That's what that's implying. So that's the beginning of Dr. Loomis.
Well, I was about to ask, like, because there's no way that he fully believes that, like, oh yeah, she'll come out of it. Like, is he trying to convince them to let her
I think
die?
he might be. Like, what does he think happened? Like, has this happened? Like, I know they say she's had nightmares before, but this seems to be like a new thing.
Yeah, because nightmare transitioning into a full blown seizure is not like something to be like, oh well, they'll be fine.
Although, one thing in it is, when she starts having the seizure, the nurse that like oversees her goes into like complete panic mode. And she's like, Jamie, Jamie, come on, Jamie. And it's like, are you a like who lets you work here? Like this is the time when you have to be calm. Like you're not supposed to lose it at this moment. We need you to stay level-headed. Like doctors are supposed to be like you could be fucking like your head could be falling off and they're supposed to remain calm. Like, also Jamie wrote on her chalkboard, he's coming for me.
Was that ever brought up again?
I don't know if anyone even notices it.
Yeah, I think that's just for the audience.
It's just for
and
the
like,
audience.
We're aware by that point.
Well, I have to be honest, I had to pause the movie to see that that's what it said because it's like only on screen for like half a second. So I had to like maybe it had more in like the original edit and they changed it. Again, you have to remember they were rewriting this movie constantly while they were filming it. And so there's a lot of stuff that feels disconnected. So I guess that's a good time to mention that since murdering her stepmother and ending up in the clinic, Jamie Lloyd is now completely mute. She doesn't speak. Which
I hate this.
I don't know. I'm not totally against it. I'm against the entire premise, I guess. But it's like, Michael Myers became mute after killing his sister, so I guess they were trying to make like some sort of overlap, It was like she's in the beginning stages of turning into him. But it doesn't go anywhere. It's just a thing in it. Also, we should know she had a brain monitor on.
Yeah. So what the fuck?
Like what was it? What was that doing? Like that's the thing. This was directed by a guy named I think Dominique Girard. He's a French director, and I'm guessing he's like an artistic type director of some kind. Because there's a lot of like dream logic in a film, and it never earns that dream logic badge. Like I could see this in like like Suspiria or something like that. Someone's got like or like an Argento film, like some weird pseudoscience. It actually kind of reminded me of like Exorcist 2. Do you remember Exorcist 2 has a device that lets you like
I've never seen Exorcist 2.
you should check it out. It's really
Okay.
bad and it's like 2.5 hours long.
Oh, so it's no Exorcist 3.
There's no Exorcist 3. It could have been a good film, but it's like just a fucking mess. Uh, and but there's a device in it that lets people like share dreams.
Well, that's kind of interesting.
Um, it's not as interesting as it sounds. Um, but that's in that movie, and that it kind of reminded me of the device she had on her head. But again, it's like, why? And it never comes up. There's not like a scene where someone looks at it and goes like, "You see here at 8 o'clock, we saw a uptick in whatever in rapid eye movement or something in REM," and it's like just a thing that they show in it. And there's a lot of scenes like that where it gets like dream logic, like weird, can't like really like, oh, dream like we're floating along, kind of like got a bit of a Raimi cam thing going down, or like we end up in a basement and it goes like full gothic horror, but it never earns like that being okay.
Yeah, it just kind of like veers into that after being like overlit, uh, really drab to look at, not exciting kills either. Like that's not entirely related, but I might as
Faceless,
well just bring it
a
up now.
completely faceless supporting cast, and exactly no narrative thrust.
Yeah, there's
Like,
nothing to like the actual story of the movie. Like Michael Myers escapes again,
he's
uh,
back, and
and that's it.
presumably he's after Jamie, but he makes no effort to find her.
Yeah, because like the first hour of the movie, roughly, he's killing like a bunch of other horny teenagers
Yeah,
in Haddonfield.
just killing teenagers, and that's it. And speaking of the uninteresting kills part, I guess there was conflict on the set about the director really wanted the movie to be more violent, and the producer wanted to pull back. So I think they shot a lot of the deaths more violently than they were, and then they were edited out in post production. Um, at least
Mm.
from what I understand. And because I know at one point it's still kind of in the movie. The little girl when she's like running away from Michael Myers at the end was gonna get like cut in the leg when he's like stabbing through that like air conditioning unit. And they cut the part where she actually gets stabbed, but if you watch after that, she's always got a limp, and she's got a cut on her leg.
Okay, yeah, that makes more sense.
There's a lot of moments where there's like breaks like that, or they cut away just as a kill is about to get slightly more violent. Um, there's a couple moments like that in this movie.
Yeah, there's one that's pretty brutal, but it's not like fun.
Yeah, there's no fun kills in it.
Yeah,
Um, Part of it is that you don't give a fuck about any of the people in it at all.
yeah. I brought this up earlier. I like that they brought back her step sibling, and then she dies
It's
immediately,
it's
which
all
is
how her character is treating this. I can't. I don't want to just say like, oh, she got written out. Like that happens tons of times in horror films. Like the entire supporting cast of Nightmare 3 gets killed in like the opening of Nightmare 4.
oh, and I hated that.
Yeah.
That might just be because I love Dream Warriors, but like, who thought that was a good idea?
I don't know. I don't know why it's a thing because like clearly they could get this actress back.
Yeah, and she wanted to come back, so like,
Yeah. I don't know
why?
what.
Why they end up giving like the protector role to her friend? And that's the thing I wanted to bring up. I like that moment where she visits Jamie in the institution. There's clearly like a real loving companionship relationship there.
There's a honestly great moment where Rachel kind of wakes up and Jamie wakes up and Jamie kind of points out that she's got like that her like eyeliner or mascara or whatever the fuck is like kind of running, which implies that Rachel showed up sometime late that last night and has been with her all night.
Yeah,
It's a nice little touch. She's pretty loyal though to a girl who killed her mother,
yeah.
which is never
I don't know what that's about.
it's never addressed. In fact, I got confused. So like I tried looking up stuff and it seemed to confirm what I thought, but it's so weird because of how this movie treats it. Rachel was the biological child of those two parents, right?
Yeah,
and then Jamie was the adopted child. But later, Rachel mentions her parents in like the present tense. She's like, "Oh, if my parents let me," and 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 Rachel shows no signs of any sort of, you know, damage from the events of the previous film. She seems to be like a happy teenager again. And I'm like, did they just forget that she's supposed to be related to like the victims of the last film? Like, did they just totally like forget that?
Like they, honest to God, just might have, and then they were just like, "Fuck it, we'll make money," and then it
It
also
didn't. It
didn't.
didn't work. I think it's the lowest earning of all the Halloween films, including six, which is fucking saying something. Um, but we should say there's that touching moment with Rachel and Jamie, and then fucking coming barreling into the film is Tina, fucking literally like
I,
breaking in through the window.
you know why I kind of like this character? That actress has an energy that no one else is allowed to have in this movie. Like she's not great.
I'm not throwing shade at the actress, and I feel like she probably got a lot of shit over the years. Like she's not one you see at like fan conventions too often.
Oh,
But like her character, honestly, her character is written like how I think men's rights activists view women. Like, you know,
yeah.
or
Oh, yeah.
like dudes who are like, or what's the incelibate? What are they called? Incels?
Incels.
Yeah. Well, 'cause it's like their idea of
Holy shit.
like women are idiots and they just want to have sex and they have sex with other good-looking people and I can't have that sex. I can't possess these dumb women who I clearly have no respect for because because I look slightly out of the norm. If Gilbert Gottfried can get married, you have no excuse.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you might just be an asshole, man.
Yeah, like you might have the problem.
Or to bring it back to Jordan Peterson really quick, he tweeted out recently about like women only make up than 10% of my viewing demographics. Why? And then everyone was responding just like,
Who fucking
really?
knows?
Like,
I can't tell you, man. That's a shocker. Can you believe it? Maybe telling women to stay in their place maybe isn't something women want to hear. But you know what I'm saying, right?
oh no no no, totally. Like especially there's a sequence in a car later that is just
Mm.
brutal to watch, and not like 'cause it's a kill scene. The scene is just awful.
I fast forwarded over that scene.
Okay, I I got up and got
Yeah,
coffee
it's so
in the middle of
long.
it, and it was still going on, and I was just like,
And also, it's not
why?
like there's no reveal. Like,
And she just drives off with him,
yeah.
and it's just like, like, like
It,
I don't understand what the fuck.
but I want to say Tina is written bad, but all the women are written bad in this, including Rachel, who is written completely different than how she was in the previous film. Like this, her death and the entire build up to it is fucking insulting.
Ugh.
Like she is suddenly like a like ditzy girl. She's like, "Why is my dog barking so much?" Like she and this it might have the most gratuitous like nudity kinda. Was there actual nudity in it?
I
Um
don't think so. Like not from her.
we she's in the shower
I don't think.
and if you have an HD television, you probably see more than they ever intended you to see.
Oh, whoops.
But um did that I can't remember if that girl in the barn like actually got naked when they're having sex.
No. You see the guy's butt through like some
Oh, okay.
cracks.
Thank God. Um, you get it's like that. Was it that weird movie sex where somehow everyone keeps their clothes on?
Yeah, yeah, exactly that. You could tell like the front of his pants were still up. It was just like the back. It was just like, oh, get it? They're doing the sex, but you only see like a
You
cheek.
know, women always wanting to keep their shirts on during sex. But
Yeah, like that's just an awful sex scene too. You don't go to Halloween movies for sex scenes, but my God.
well, that's where, like I said, I think they were trying to make this more in line with like the Friday the 13th franchise, which was literally doing one film every year at this point.
Yeah, and that boom was dying off by that point.
Well, yeah, this is 1989. Like holy shit. This is like way too late. Uh, it's even more shocking that we'll get the 6, which was released in like '94, which is even worse. But yeah, this is when it's all dying and it's chasing trends that just don't exist anymore. And it is, I mean, I feel it's very much trying to like punish these women for and men for having sex. Like it's trying to do that, not necessarily like that was the intent of the director, but they were trying to repeat those tropes because they think that's what the audience wants. Um, Very much how a lot of people mistook Halloween, the original, for saying that, which is not what the original film was saying at all. It was what all the imitators were saying.
But like we see so much like big franchise filmmaking, especially nowadays, with producers being like, "Well, this is what the audience wants, so we got to give it to them." I hate to go back to DC stuff really quick, but like Justice League is basically unwatchable to me. But a lot of people came out saying like, it's more like the comic Superman, and I'm just like, who
Yeah,
gives
who
a
gives a
fuck?
shit?
Like, who gives a shit? Like, I don't care about that. I never thought this version of Superman was good, but it's not that it was different. It was just that it was poorly
although,
done. You could
although
have done something interesting
you
with
like
that.
you said you've come around to like Batman v Superman, right?
Yeah, I'll never even say like it's good, probably, but I do find it
I think I've
kind of
said this, but I
interesting
have
and
never been
fascinating.
able to sit through it. Uh,
I mean, that's fine. I'm not gonna
I'm
knock
not,
you for
but I'm not
that.
like not in a like here I was like fast forwarding through the shit because I'm like Jesus Christ just end like there was it was so
Yeah.
boring. But like Batman v Superman, it's like such an assault. Like I don't know what it is. Like I get like it starts to like hurt to keep watching it.
Well, that's what I felt during
I get a
this, but
headache
yeah,
and
it is different.
I don't know like yeah whatever. Um, but like this movie's such a mess. To bring it back to Rachel's death, though, she was originally supposed to get scissors shoved down her throat, and then the actress said, "No, I won't do that."
Yeah,
And
well,
so she,
good for her
do they ever
because
find out
that's
she's
gross.
dead?
Uh, Jamie finds her body the same way Lori
Oh
finds her
yeah,
friend in the house at
that
the
was her
end.
at the end.
Yeah,
Okay,
uh,
I was fucking checked out. Like,
I can't blame you. Like, no, that's
here's
gross.
the thing: I have a
And
full page of notes, but it's all about stuff in the beginning, and literally I wrote enter the man in black and then I just stopped because
oh God,
I couldn't like that was when like I just checked out. Like after that scene, nothing really stuck with me.
did Halloween 5 like present the bullshit sequel bait sequels? Like the idea that the sense that it'll set up stuff with no explanation or purpose for its own standalone story, but for someone else to carry on
I think
in
so
another
because I
sequel.
saw interviews with the filmmakers and they were saying like we had no idea what any of this meant. In fact,
Like, you got that cult marking on the wrist, the man in black. There's probably something else, but
he is just thrown in, and from what I understand, they were interviewing the crew. This I saw a documentary about the making of 4 and 5, and they didn't interview the director. I guess the director wants nothing to do with it.
I can't imagine
He's
why.
kind of blamed for it, but I don't think he deserves any credit really, other than some visually interesting moments in this movie. This movie looks all right when it's
Uh,
not overlit. Uh,
yeah, the night stuff during the finale it
the
actually
night stuff, and
looks
there's kind
okay.
of like some dreamy sequences that look all right, but it's one of those things where it's like like some people walk out of like again, I'm sorry to keep bringing it up like a Zack Snyder film, and they'll be like, "Oh, his movies don't actually mean anything. It's bullshit." And I felt that way in the past. I have a new respect for Zack Snyder after this. Like like honestly, he has intentions with what he's doing that maybe either I don't understand or they just don't work. I'm willing to bet I probably just don't get it. Uh, but here it was very much like it's I don't want to be like casual film goer guy, but like there's no reason for a lot of the like the dream like logic of this film. There's no artistic meaning behind it. Like they do a ton of POV shots in this movie, and it's literally just because the first Halloween did POV shots, and it gets frustrating.
Yeah.
But like I said, they interviewed the crew, and they just said, "Yeah, one day we were just like, hey, we're filming a new scene, and it's this guy getting off a bus." And they just like they threw it in like at the 11th hour. Um, it was not what was intended. So I have no idea what they were going for with this. Nor does it really matter. Again, the saving grace of this film is Dr. Loomis, because a moment after Rachel is murdered, although we don't know she's murdered, Loomis confronts Jamie, who's still having like weird visions, and is like basically almost violently shakes her. So you gotta tell me, Jamie, we can find him. Like, and he's like attacking this girl, and she's mute, and she's like clearly terrified of him. Uh, and according to the actress, um, Danielle Harris, she realized years later that she smelled bourbon on his breath during the which, you know what? I don't blame him. God bless you, Donald Pleasance.
Yeah.
Um, he can do whatever he wanted. By the way, Donald Pleasance episode of Columbo, Any Port in the Storm, was recently voted the best Columbo episode. So,
Oh, I also want to give Donald Pleasance another nice shout out because he only did 2 weeks of filming on this movie, I believe, and after his weeks were done, he gave Danielle Harris his much larger trailer.
oh yeah, yeah,
And so her and her mother could stay there because I guess they only had like a small little space, and she got
yeah.
most of the stuff.
I think
She got most of
she
the screen
probably
time. Not
she
a lot
had
to
one of
do,
those
but
like
you know.
if you ever been to a film set where it's like those trailers where it's like three trailers put into one. Have you seen it? Do you know what I'm talking
Yeah, yeah,
about?
yeah.
It's literally like a bathroom size. Um, I worked on a film like that. Shout out to actress Missy Pyle, who was one of the nicest actresses I've ever met. You'd recognize her. She's been in a ton of stuff. She's the alien that comes back with them in Galaxy Quest. So Dr. Loomis is completely losing it throughout the film. Uh, there's a whole middle chunk that does not matter. Again, like
God,
we are skipping over an hour of boring shit.
you're welcome.
Uh, Diego, you alluded to the scene where Michael Myers is pretending to be Tina's boyfriend in the car, which is really awkward.
I hate it so much.
And he was supposed to wear a Ronald Reagan mask, which might have saved that scene.
Yeah, that might have saved it for me. I would have been into that, just like on the principle
Yeah.
of
Although, wait a minute, this is
that alone.
'89. Like the Reagan, like it's HW now. Like I get that Reagan had like a lasting impact, but everyone collectively stopped making W. Bush jokes the moment he was out of office. And again, to point at like the weird like gender stuff in this, the vision Jamie has is of a store where it's like there's a poster of a woman holding two cookies in front of her breasts.
Fucking God, yeah. And when they have her describe it, like she goes like for a second, big women, and I was just like, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it. It was what happened, you know.
And then like
how
I
did
should
this
also
happen?
mention that was actually a pretty hysterical moment when they do figure out where she is, which is all honestly that was so ludicrous that they could figure it out, but whatever. And then like 7 cop cars show up. Like they like come from every direction at the same time. It's like a comedy beat. Again, that's where like the movie kind of teeters into like actual like funny territory, but then it just sucks. Um, and that's when we get to a really infuriating moment, which is that they bring Tina in. They go like, oh, she's safe. We got her away, and then she immediately goes back out.
Yeah, I hated that. I hate all of this.
And it's like it's so like just the way it's written, it's so insulting. Like I can't tell if the guy who wrote this like thinks he's being super pro sex or if he genuinely has like problems with women, you know?
No.
Because like she's like, oh, like Jamie is like on the verge of tears, crying, like begging Tina not to leave.
Well, no, not only that. Uh, because at that moment when they reconvene and she says like Tina, she speaks for the first time in the movie. Like that's kind of nice. Like I don't get the relationship between those characters and that much history, but like whatever.
There's nothing between those two.
Yeah, but it works from the two actresses being together. I think they had something that could have been expanded upon
Danielle Harris
well
is the
enough.
one who sells it.
Well, Danielle Harris is awesome. One of the great child actresses. But no, okay, like it's crazy that like after she starts leaving, Tina doesn't look like she's crying. She's like, "Oh, you're fine. I'll be back later. Well, I promise." And then when she's going down the stairs, she's wiping away tears. But before that, it was just like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm gonna go get it on."
Well, then she's wiping away tears, and Dr. Loomis like runs up to her, is like, "You can't leave," and
And then it's just hysterical.
she like calls him a creep, and it's
Which
like,
I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, no, she's totally justified. But like, she's emotionally like, she seems like, oh, she's kind of had an emotional moment. She kind of just wants to get away from everything. But then she goes like he says something about like she's acting irresponsible, and she's like, I never try to act responsible when I can, and then runs out.
Yeah,
Like
like
she goes like all over the place emotionally. That's I blame direction on that. I'm blaming the director because he's basically the one guy I haven't seen an interview with.
he's just in hiding.
I have seen interviews with him from the set, and they're very awkward. There's one moment where he describes like how the kills are shot in his film, and he realizes halfway through his thought that it's not that interesting. He's like, it's like a cat and mouse, and we see the mouse, and we see the cat, and we are aware of the cat, and yeah, like it's literally that. Like I'm not exaggerating. And speaking of which, like one more thing before we get to the ending, Michael Myers is driving a lot in this film. Uh,
Like that just feels
he
awkward.
kills the bumbling trombone police.
I would have liked to have seen that one.
Yeah, that's probably the kills we would have wanted to see. But that's also they almost shoot those teenagers who pull like the worst prank imaginable.
Oh yeah, my God, that whole middle is just
There's so
unbearable.
much badness in it. Like you know what? I'm not even gonna dig into it. There's a lot of bad stuff in the middle. All right, this is the movie though where I realized there is a structure of these Halloween films that all of them follow really, which is you can divide them into three parts, which is Michael Myers escapes and gets ready, which in the original Halloween is like a super long part of that film, and that's what makes that movie so effective. And then the middle is ancillary characters get murdered. And the problem with this film is that that's the longest part of this movie. And then the third part is final showdown with Michael. That's what all of these films do.
Yep.
But
Like I don't even have the energy anymore. I'll also talk about the ending after, but
well, no, I
fuck.
think we can go into the ending. I mean, like what? I can't. Oh, Michael Myers chases people with the car at one point, and there is a behind the scenes scene where the actress playing Tina almost gets fucking killed because she
Jesus.
trips and the car like fucking almost runs her over, and like she's genuinely frightened, and like the whole crew like freaks out. If you have the 25th anniversary like documentary, I think you can see that clip on it. It's genuinely upsetting. And what makes it even more upsetting is that Jamie, the little girl, Danielle Harris, is getting chased by the car in it. And it's very clear that it's her in a lot of those scenes. And she is really close to that car. You know?
Yeah. Oh
Like,
God.
holy
Now I'm
fuck.
upset.
If she trips, she's dead. And I doubt the guy in the Michael Myers mask fucking driving the car can see very well. Like that, like I just can't imagine. Imagine someone dying for this piece of shit. Like,
Fuck that. Anybody who's like, well, the director's gotta like get their art or whatever. Go fuck yourself. Yeah. No. No movie is more important than a human being
yeah,
or safety procedures. So
don't.
go fuck yourself.
Are you out of your mind? Those are people who say that are people who have never like worked or like they've
Yeah.
worked hard and they think because it was hard that everyone deserves to be it deserves to be that hard for everyone. You know, I don't know. I totally lost what was going on in this movie by the end. Um, But thankfully it simplifies it, which we find out the cops have left, and this one other cop that stays. Which I want to point out, that cop is played by an actor named Troy Evans, who you've probably seen in like a dozen things. He was bothering me watching it, and he's in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, and he was on Twin Peaks. He's in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. He's in The Frighteners. He's like a character actor. He's been around a while. And it was nice seeing him. And he's like, "Okay, Jamie, we're gonna go." And Loomis walks into the room. He's like, "Dr. Loomis?" And Loomis locks the door. And, no, we're staying. And he's like, "Loomis, you have to get out of the way." Loomis pulls a gun again. And he's like, "Michael Myers is coming. We have to be ready." It's like, "I'm gonna face him here." And so he's gonna use the little girl as bait. And this is it. This is when it goes completely off the rails.
Like, he's clearly lost it.
I mean,
no
I'm not even going to go into
attachment to
detail. There's a
reality.
part where that cop, of course, does not make it. I mean,
and he's so nice.
He's the nice
so
guy.
nice.
He's nice to the little girl. He's the most human character in this entire fucking movie.
And he gets fucking hung out a window.
Jamie gets away somehow, and Loomis comes barreling back into the picture. And that's when he really loses it. Which is things. He takes her hostage and is like, "Michael, I have her. Come here, Michael." He's using this little girl as bait.
And she's just like crying in his arms.
She's crying and screaming, and he's coming. And Michael is walking slow, like too slow for Michael Myers even. That was a little ridiculous. Like, Michael walks slow, but he doesn't like fucking like tiptoe. But it turns out it was to trick Michael Myers into Loomis lures him into a film where he has rigged a chain net on the ceiling, drops it on and then he pulls out a fucking gun with a tranquilizer and just keeps shooting him. He doesn't care if he's going to inject too much to kill him. He hits him like 3 times, which would probably kill any human being. And then Michael Myers eventually gets the gun away. Jamie is crying in the corner. When Loomis is disarmed, on the spot, he improvises, rips a board of wood out of the window, and starts beating him. And just yelling, "Die! Die!" It was so amazing. That was incredible. And seriously, just watch that. It is unbelievable. It is the best thing I've watched all day. Like, just that scene. Again, this is a bad movie that I do not recommend, but I recommend that last scene.
That almost makes the movie worth it.
This is crazy Loomis at his finest, because he'll never get this crazy again. This is the craziest he ever was, and he'll never be this crazy again. And it was beautiful. We should mention that on the set when this scene was filmed, Donald Pleasance, when they cut, Donald Pleasance turned to the actor playing Michael Myers and he said, "Oh, now it makes sense. I abused you."
Oh, so he gets it.
Yeah. He had to have understood it, because he commits to screaming, "Die!" just as he's like hitting him with a bit of wood. And again, I have to point out what makes it amazing is he did not have that wood ready. He rips it off the window. In the moment, that's what he improvised. Die! Die! It's what saves this film from being something where, like, I would, otherwise I'd be like, don't watch it at all. But unfortunately, that should have been where it ended. Unfortunately, we get a tacked on epilogue, which is one of the worst endings ever.
Oh, yeah. Now we're back to this shit. At the time of my life, just remembering that visual.
Die!
Now I gotta remember. Also, this is the second movie in a row where or police station is just wiped out,
And both times we don't see it.
which is like a major missed opportunity. Like,
This one makes a little more sense that we don't see it, but again, it's still idiotic. So it's also dumb to just see Michael Myers in a jail cell.
oh yeah, that's a weird visual.
With his mask on, by the way.
Yeah, it's like watching Dracula in the daylight. Like, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's just bad. But I guess what we should say is that Michael Myers is in prison, and then there's this like cowboy looking dude that we've seen like once before who's walking around, and he shows up and he breaks Michael Myers out of prison. And we end with Jamie. Jamie wanders into the police station. All the police are dead. Michael Myers is gone. Meeker is dead. I believe they show Sheriff Meeker's body.
I'm pretty sure even if they don't, he's dead.
Yeah,
he doesn't come back.
I think they show his body though, and she kind of looks into the jail cell, and then very clearly added at the last minute with ADR, she says no. Like she starts repeating no to herself, kind of like how Dr. Loomis did it at the end of. Also, what the fuck, Loomis? Where were you? Like,
oh yeah, no, he has like a stroke or something while he's beating Michael to death.
oh, okay.
And then he just falls face first on top of Michael.
I forgot about the stroke. All right, that makes that scene even better. Because that's amazing.
Like, that's why he could never be topped. You know, because Donald Pleasance did unfortunately pass away. It would never be topped because he just gives up. Like, his body gives out.
He stopped him. He stopped Michael Myers, and his body immediately ceased. Like, he did the one thing God put him on this earth to do. And although, still, a better ending would be Myers gets broken out of prison. Jamie sees this, and then Loomis in the hospital, comatose, wakes up and goes, "No!" And that's the end.
You know what? Sure. Why the fuck not?
That's how it should have ended. Because no, you know what? He should be dead. Like, he should be on the slab at the coroner's office. But the moment Michael lives, he wills himself back to life. No! So yeah, and then we will have to wait 5 years to figure out what the fuck that ending was about. And
even still, no one's quite
and
sure.
and we'll never get a good answer. And what we have is not what we want. There's no upside to what we get. Oh well. That was Halloween 5, everyone.
Whoo! Like an hour and 10 minutes of just like shit, and then 20 minutes of like, okay, this is hilarious.
The funniest thing I've ever seen. And again, watch that bit. Or maybe if Diego has the time, which he might not.
I might just put it in.
Constantly splice it in.
Die! 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 Michael! Die!
Next up is Halloween 6, and we will be discussing both versions. There's probably some compare and contrast videos on YouTube, but who cares? You're already listening to us, so, you know. Matt, where can people find you?
Find me at EmperorOTN at Twitter.com and YouTube.
You can find me at Twitter.com at DEWGO Waffles, Waffle Press, on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes. Like and subscribe. If you didn't like this, like and subscribe anyways, because you might find something you do like. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We've been professionally unprofessional.
Die!
Die! Die!